Hi, my name is Shulin Patel and I'm from Duke University. I'm also a developer for the Internet to Grouper project. This is the end users track of the Grouper training, and this is part 4 of the new UI training. So here are the topics that I'll be covering in this part. This video focuses on operations that can be done on folders, and I'll be doing a demo on each of these. So I'll show how to view folders, how to create folders, edit them, delete them, copy them, move them. I'll show the audit log for folders, and then how to view and assign privileges on folders. So you can navigate to a folder using the tree control on the left. I'm going to find the demo application folder here. And so when I click on that, you can see the name of the folder up here at the top, the description of the folder under it if there's one set. Then over here you can view the objects under this folder, like any groups or subfolders. You can filter what is shown here. So for instance, I can do that. There's a more link here that can show you more information about this folder, like who created it, when it was created, when it was last touched, and so forth. You can edit the folder using this button here, and then there are more actions available over here. So the next thing I want to show is how to create a new folder. So one way to do that is to use this button over here. Click on this link over here and click on Create New Folder. So by default it'll populate the parent folder being the folder that you are in. But you can adjust that as needed. So under the applications folder, let me create a folder called Demo Application 4. As with groups, the ID and the name are set to the same value by default, but you can change them if you want to. And the ID is a unique value for the folder, and it should be short and simple, and it's usually what external systems care about, so you usually don't want to change it. And then you could set a description if you want. And so once you save that, you're taken to that new folder that got created. Then you could edit the folder. So let me just give it a different description. And you can see that that's been changed. And then you could also delete it under More Actions. And just confirm. So next I'll show how you can copy a folder. So I'll copy the demo application folder over to the QS University of Bristol folder. So while I'm viewing the demo application folder, I can click on More Actions and then Copy Folder. And so here you can specify the location of where you want to copy the folder to. So I'll do a search for the destination folder. And then under that, there are options for how you want to do the copy. So the first 5 options are related to how you want groups within the folder to be copied. So do you want group attributes to be copied? Do you want memberships of groups to be copied? Do you want privileges on groups to be copied? If the groups are members of other groups, then should the copied group become a member of that group too? And similar thing with privileges. If a group has privileges to some other object, then should the copied group also have privileges to that object? And then the last option here is, do you want to copy folder privileges? So let me just leave them all selected and I'll hit copy. And so once that's done, I'm taken to the new copied folder, as you can see in the breadcrumbs up here, that I'm now within the QS University of Bristol folder. And you can see that my groups, users, user staff, and user students are all there as well. So next, let me show you how to move a folder. So before I move it, let me rename demo application to demo application 5. And so now you can see US University of Bristol. So now let me show you how to move that. So under More Actions, Move Folder. And I'll set the destination to be the Applications folder. And you have the option to set alternate names for groups. So what that basically means is each of the groups that are moved over, so each of the groups within the Demo Application 5 folder would have an alternate name set to be the old name or the old ID path. And that could be useful if applications need to find out what the former ID path was. So I'll hit move. And so now if I refresh the tree control, under applications you can see demo application 5. And I can go to one of the groups, like the users group. If I click more here, you can see the current ID path is apps demo application 5 users. But the alternate ID path was the ID path that it used to be before I moved it. Next, I'll show you the audit log for folders. So I'm back at demo application 5. I'll click more actions, view audit log. And so you can see the operations that I've taken on this folder. So I originally copied it, then I edited it, then I moved it. You can see when each action was done, who did it, what engine was used to do it, and a summary of the action. I could also show extended results, which just gives a little bit more information, like how long it took to complete the action, the server, the IP address, and so forth. And if I have a lot of audit logs here, I can filter it by date as well. So there are a few options for that. So the last topic of this video is going to be privileges on folders. So when viewing a folder, you can click on the Privileges tab, and that'll show you the current privileges that are assigned. So Grouper sysadmin has the Create Folder privilege, and that's a direct privilege because it's highlighted in bold. Having that gives you privileges to create group, attribute read, and attribute update, and those are grayed out since those are indirect privileges. So say if I want to add a new privilege, I can click on Add Members, find the person I want to add the privilege to, say John Benson, and then select what privileges to assign. So perhaps just attribute read, and then click Add. So now if I go to the bottom, I can see John Benson has attribute read. I can give him attribute update as well. One way to do that is just to click over here, and you can see that that's done now. I can do the same thing with create folder, and since create folder gives create group, you can see that that's automatically selected and grayed out. I could unselect attribute update. If I do that, it ends up becoming a check mark that's grayed out, since John Benson would still have that privilege since he has create folder. Another way to update privileges is to use this drop down over here. So say, let me remove the create folder privilege for John Benson, and if I want to add that back, the other way of doing that is to click on that checkbox and then select the action to take. So for instance, assign the create folder privilege, and then click on the button here. And then you can see that completes that way. The next thing I'll do is I'll show you how to assign the privilege to a group. So let me search for a group, the user staff group, and I'll give the user staff group attribute read. And so by doing that, you can see that the user staff group has the direct attribute read privilege, but now a bunch of indirect privileges were also added because the user staff group has all of these users as direct members or indirect members. And if I give user staff attribute update by clicking here, you can see all the members of user staff also got that privilege, but that's grayed out like the attribute read, since that's an indirect privilege. I can also give the create folder, and you can see what that does. And the last thing is tracing privileges. So if I click on actions, there's the trace privileges option, and that'll explain how all of the privileges are assigned. So John Windsor is a direct member of the users group, which is a composite factor with the all academic staff group, producing the user staff group, and then that has direct attribute read, update, and create folder privileges on demo application. And here's another example of that. So that's all for this tutorial. You can click on the quiz link in the video description to reinforce your knowledge of this topic. And here are some links with some further information. Thank you.